Welcome to the third annual episode of the Pixel Wankers. I'm Steve from the Shire.
Scott, Utah.
Mitch.
The bitch.
Mitch the
Nice, very nice.
Kind. I am Tim. Wanker number 4 today.
Yeah. Back to the gang.
To wank off.
Hello, fellow wankers.
Yep.
What are we wanking about today?
I've been wanking a lot.
What are we wanking over?
I hear you've been winking a lot lately. Yeah. Let us know what's going on over there.
It's been hot in the studio.
It has been hot in the studio.
Yeah, not a lot. I mean, we recorded yesterday, so.
Yeah. So what are we talking about today then, boys?
Game stuff.
Game stuff. Game stuff.
Game stuff. You know, like we need to create some production element. Game stuff.
Explosions and lightning.
Yeah, game stuff.
Like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
like
there it
that.
is. I'll just sample that.
So I guess the topic today is video games and storytelling. So cast your mind back to a favorite video game of your childhood and a favorite story moment in that game, or even a franchise of games. Just a real like a heartbreaking moment or a happy moment or gives you chills. And why does that? Let's delve into why and how the game does that. Go ahead.
Like, why and how do I get into a game's story?
Emotionally.
What kind of like what games have come across that have actually evoked an emotional response, be it joy, anger?
I think not necessarily joy, anger, something basic like that, but I actually have recently been replaying Pokemon.
Oh yeah.
Believe it or not, it's kind of weird, but my wife never played Pokemon, and I was like, "Do you want to play it?" And she's like, not really." I'm like, "Okay, we're playing it." And
see, that was a lie. You know how he really said? He was like, "Yo, baby." Yo, baby, you want to catch them all? I want to catch them with you, girl.
Bring it on, slow. Catch them all, baby. So, no, we were playing Pokemon, and she's like, "Oh, this seems fun. This seems cool." So she kind of played it for 15 minutes, and then she's like, "Okay, I'm done. It's done." I'm like, "Wait, no, we haven't even caught any. We haven't even done anything." She's like, "Okay, I think I'm done." I'm playing it, and it's 12 o'clock at night. She's like, "When are you coming to bed?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm almost got my guy to level 16, you know." And I'm all over it. For the next 3 weeks, I've been all over. I'm Googling what was the area that I have to go to get that thing. And so, to me, it's not an element of I guess it's joy. I mean, I enjoy that a lot.
Yeah.
But it really, I love obsessing about stuff, and that is something that I really like to do, is just get into a game and fully immerse myself. I don't do that a lot. Most games I play, I'm this is kind of fun. I've got the game down, and I usually just kind of drop it. It's lost my interest. But things like that is where it can grab my interest and keep me there and wanting me to research about it and stuff. That's what it's about. And Pokemon has always done that. Even as a kid, I was all over it. I had all the players' guides. I had all the I read about everything. I was like, "Oh, I have to try this cheat to see if I can get something special." Or
did it ever surprise you? Did it ever take a turn that you were like, "Oh my God, Pikachu, no!"
Well, there's definitely the dark side of the internet that you're on.
The internet surprise.
And all of a sudden you're like, "I'm just looking up how to get the newest Pokemon." It's like, oh God.
Well, if you like obsessing about games, have you heard about our dear Lord and Savior, World of Warcraft?
Oh.
They've got a mini Pokemon game in World of Warcraft now, with 400 pets, I think, to collect. Yeah, I've got friends when I was playing WoW, that's all they would do and you can go in battle, and you can get your stuff up to level. I think it's level 30 now. I got one pet that I use. I used to get tons of pets. My friends.
So it's your pet that you have, because I know you can have dogs and stuff.
No, that's
right?
a hunter. So the hunter and what is it? Hunters, mages, and warlocks can all have pets, but everybody can have these pets. And so when you've got a pet, you can see a little green paw over your pets in the wild, and then you have your pet battle them, and you can catch them once they get down past 33% health.
Yeah,
and then you can catch that thing, and then you can level that
cool.
pet. Yeah, so it's Pokemon inside the World of Warcraft.
Well, actually, this is a little off subject. I want to keep back on the emotional thing, but as I was playing Pokemon for the last couple of weeks, I was like, it'd be awesome, and they're kind of doing this with the new Pokemon Go thing, but why don't they just take the old school Pokemon, the exact way that it was on the original Game Boy, like Advance is a nice one, like it has some nicer graphics than the original Game Boy, but like basic Pokemon, and just do that online and have everyone in the game be real people. Like trainers that you encounter in like wild areas are like real dicks, just like out there like waiting for you to get there, and then if they beat you, they like take all your Pokemon and like like you can screw people over, like, and they create like gangs of like people just roaming around through the wild. I think that'd be cool.
With Daisy with Pokemon, people are gonna come kill you once you spawn.
Like the towns would have like syndicates and stuff in them that people would really like form like gangs of like, badass Pokemon groups. Like I just think that'd be cool.
Like it'd be like really hard to be badass when you're like your gang name is like the Pikachu 7.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
It's like the Jigglypuff 5.
Which Pokemon are you playing?
I'm playing Pokemon like Fire Red. It's like the one that was on the Game Boy Advance, but it's like the remake of the Red version.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I never played that one
because the new DS ones, they've got some pretty cool stuff in them.
Yeah,
like a lot more online stuff. Like it's like link up with someone specific, not just like an online MMO thing. But you do actually.
Well, we can come back to Pokemon, but let's go over the emotion thing. I don't want to get too sidetracked.
Oh, dude, I got a killer one. There have been so many games that have made me laugh and cry and all the rest of it, but one that kind of sticks out for me is XCOM, the remake of XCOM.
Yeah.
It's so great because the story itself is kind of loose. There's not really much of you get like one cutscene here and there, and then a final cutscene.
XCOM?
Yeah.
Do you ever play XCOM like UFO Defense or any of the old PC XCOM games?
It's like, what's a game?
Yeah.
I've never played this. When I was a kid, all I had was stick and cup, like the ball.
Yeah. Oh, you mean Monopoly? Basically it's kind of like a real-time strategy in a way. It's like a turn-based squad thing, and then you also have micromanagement, and I guess macromanagement, like the whole global defense. You have to do, and they've got two new ones right now. It's Enemy Unknown and Enemy Within, and then they're releasing XCOM 2 later on this year, I think.
Oh, cool.
But basically, like you get randomly generated soldiers with randomly generated names and countries of origin and everything. They all have different hairstyles and all the rest of it. But the more you play it, like the more you kind of imprint personalities on them. Like I had a sniper that was just awful. It couldn't hit anything. Every time, like they would take a shot, it would be a miss, and I could tell you that it was going to be a miss because they were just so bad.
Shit! Here's Greg. He's never going to hit
exactly. and then one time he hit, and I just lost it. I was like, oh my god, because it was really crucial that he did. Like,
you like collapsed cry?
Yeah, because the game is known. Like there's settings that you can turn on and off in the game. There's like an autosave setting, so you cannot go back and load a previous save. Once what's done is done. It's set in stone. And there have been times where I've just been like, it's just been really stressful. Like characters are gonna die. Like it's looking really bad. I got no money to put in anything. Like I got no spaceships to defend.
Yeah.
Like it's just awful. And yet sometimes you get these real moments of luck.
Yeah.
And there's a loading screen, which is just the drop ship. Every time you go to and from a mission. And if your mission, and there's no music, it's just the ship flying. And if the mission goes really well, you can imagine in that ship, just everyone's just sort of like, yeah, we did it, like congratulating themselves. And if like there's one guy left, or if one guy dies, you can just imagine the atmosphere in that ship just being so depressing.
Yeah.
And it's just, and this is all stuff that you just imagine. There's no,
it's not
like,
graphic.
it's just, you make up your own story. Like I remember reading this guy's story about his character where he had a bald-headed guy, and again, he was awful, but he did really well in one mission, and then the next mission he died. And so every one of his other team members, he had them shave their heads in honor of his like.
Really?
Yeah, just to kind of like he just made up his own little narrative for this one mission, you know, and I thought that was really cool.
Well, it's kind of like I was saying last time with the books. It's like a book is as good as your imagination is. I mean, like you know, for the most part, there's still script, but like. You know, you can create whatever you want, and if you create these scenarios where it means more to you, that's cool. That's awesome.
Like your characters get assigned nicknames. So I had one that was like Devil Dog or something, you know, and it was like my leader, and she was on every mission, and I was like, yeah, that's awesome. She's like this real badass like character and stuff, and that was really cool just to have that kind of attachment to this unit that was just randomly generated characters, you know, and then every time one of them got injured, I would get kind of nervous, and every time one of them died, it was like you get a little medal and then a memorial service and everything.
Are you familiar with this game too?
I've seen stuff from it, but I haven't played it.
And you're familiar with it?
I've played the old games.
Yeah.
The old XCOM games are awesome. And I hadn't played the new ones because I was such a huge fan of UFO Defense that I was like, oh, they're just going to screw
Are they
this up.
updating it like Wolfenstein type of thing? Like have they gone like to that level?
Like as in just modern graphics and stuff?
Like bringing it to that kind of thing?
It's really good. It's slightly caricature-y, like the weapons they have are massive and they got big hands and big feet kind of thing. But it kind of
Don't make fun of their conditions.
It's just yeah.
It almost looked a little bit like Mass Effect aside from the anatomy stuff, like in terms of like the armors and stuff.
Yeah,
I've only seen a snippet.
It's got really good graphics. They've the enemy within is basically the enemy unknown, but it's like an expansion pack.
Yeah.
So they've done like really cool stuff. Like you can now choose your soldiers to be more mechanized and give them mech suits, but they sacrifice like their humanity in a way. Like you have to chop off their limbs and stuff.
Yeah.
Or you can give them like superpowers, like biotic stuff, and like so you can
cool.
have a guy like have like super jump, and he can leap on top of a building and give him like a sniper rifle, you know, and have him scout and stuff like that, which is really cool.
Huh.
Or you can have a guy just be a powerhouse, like mechanized warrior, and just go straight in there.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just awesome.
British
It's just
RoboCop.
cool. Yeah. That's a really great just example of like, I guess just non-narrative storytelling that's really got me like.
Yeah.
My mind is just going nuts with all these kind of different stories that these soldiers have. You know. Do you want me to give another example, or do you want me to move on and give you guys another chance?
Well, I just want to comment on that because that's like such a fine line in storytelling to be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they did super well in oh man, my throat. They did super well in Reservoir Dogs, like the pull away. You know, when he's about to cut off dude's ear, and what you imagine is so much worse than what they could have possibly shown on screen. And it's to be able to create a story that allows you to go crazy with your imagination by still keeping you in the story and still showing you things, but allowing you to build this whole other thing on top of it and really immerse you into it is amazing.
Yeah.
And so if they hit that, then I totally want to play it. Because I was afraid that they were going to just screw that game up, and I was going to look at it and go, well, there's half my childhood again, thanks. You know what I mean?
Well, and the thing is,
There's
like,
so many franchises
if
that
you
do
do
that.
get it like on PC especially, they've done several mods and several options that just completely change the game entirely.
Yeah.
Like there's one I think called the Long War or the Eternal War or something, and it's like never ending, and they have like really difficult enemies to go up against, and the enemies like upgrade their weaponry and like in conjunction with you upgrading your weaponry and armor and stuff, you know. So they're doing their own sort of research and stuff like that, and it's just so much like. It feels like a board game just gone nuts. Like they've just kind of like, you know, it's just, it's crazy. It's really good. Definitely recommend it.
Well, I'll have to
awesome.
check it out.
Tim,
Yes, sir.
what about you?
Mr. Timothy.
A great example of storytelling.
A great example of storytelling.
A personal story.
Oh man, it's so hard because like it's thinking, okay, what games evoked a huge emotion in me, and what games do I look at and know exactly where I was at that point in my life, right? So I can look back and say, man, I ate so much like stuffed crust cheese pizza with extra cheese with my friend Brian Cameron when I was like 6 or 7 playing Yoshi's Island.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hell yeah.
For like we'd order pizzas at 7 o'clock and then just eat cold pizza until 6 in the morning. You hear his parents waking up and you're like, oh, pretend like you're asleep, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you've just been playing Yoshi's Island all night. And Yoshi's Island doesn't have like the biggest story arc in the world, but it's so burned into my memory, like just that experience in my life. And it was every weekend I could. Me and this kid were just cheese pizza, extra cheese, stuffed crust, because we're little fat kids, and then Yoshi's Island all night long, and it was amazing to me.
That's a great story and great gameplay, except for one element that's like the most like awful thing they've ever put into gaming. Almost is damn baby fucking Mario falling off Yoshi and are you? This is gonna happen like twice, right? No, through the whole game, every time you get hit, baby fucking Mario is gonna scream in your ear. And it's like,
yeah, we learned to play that on mute, past midnight, because you would hear that echo through the entire house. No, that's one that just like brings back nostalgia, not necessarily the storytelling.
Yeah.
But it hit me, I guess, at a point in my life with the people in my life that it brings that back, and it has this whole emotional attachment to it. But a game that I felt was, man, I'm just gonna Nintendo just sponsor me already. So the first time I played through Super Mario RPG, my mind was blown.
Yeah.
Taking this little plumber that's running through levels and whatever, doing all your side-scrolling stuff up into that point, and being able to do this whole massive RPG thing and playing with all these characters and having your characters die and having like access to things you never played with, and even fighting a Final Fantasy character in the wall later on in the game, which you can never beat. That game to me blew my mind as a kid. Like just that felt like, man, this is a whole new world with that. And of course they've done well putting Mario characters into RPG style games and open world games and stuff beyond that point. But I think that was probably one of the things in my childhood that hit me as like, holy crap, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Is there like a specific point in a character's story that kind of got you in the feels a little bit?
In that one?
Because this is going to be a spoiler-heavy episode if you haven't played any of these games.
Yeah.
I don't know if I think I'm emotionally broken. I don't get hit in the feels a lot. Characters died, and I had a whole lot of that. Like, holy shit, Molo's dead, but...
Yeah. He drove me nuts.
You wouldn't like it if something hit you in the emotions, because you like to keep everything in control.
Yeah.
If something like makes you lose control, oh man.
You of all people would know that, because you've known me for over 15 years at this point, and you've seen me get hit in the emotions, and it's not a pretty sight for anyone.
It's funny though, because we're the exact opposite. Like, I kind of enjoy like that feebleness of my emotions. Like if I like cry about something, I'm like, that was incredible. Like, that's my dad coming out.
Oh, dude. Oh, Stephen.
Whereas Tim's like, man, is it raining in here?
No, even when Tim's about to cry, he doesn't. Like, no water comes out. He makes a couple of the whimpers, and it's just like dry.
I just imagine like he's watching something really touching, and it's like tears like coming out, and then he's like, no, suck it up, man.
And
like sucks back in.
Yeah, Cloudy with the Chance of Meatballs, the cop, that's me. He starts crying, just sucks his tears back into his face.
He was getting choked up at a movie once and punched me, so I would cry, so he could
feel
like
better
feel
about
better. It worked. I cried.
That's good. No, I don't know if I've had a game hit me where I felt like I was gonna lose it like that, but I have felt very like connected to characters, especially playing through like the first Resident Evil was amazing to me, because that was like a whole new era of storytelling and immersion. And
I would say horror games were like, dude, I love playing them in the dark. Next time it comes around to me, I have a good game that's
that one is
that I think is gonna blow up.
So emotions in that game, right? So you're crawling through this game at a slow pace, and you're always running out of ammo, and you're always being chased by these things. And probably one of my favorite memories of being just scared shitless in a game was there's a point in this where you're about to walk down a hallway, and as you get like partway down this hallway, one side of you is the building and the other side is windows to the outside. And these skinless dog creatures just smashed through these windows, and I screamed like a little girl.
Yeah,
it was
happened to me
so
too.
amazing that I would just get freaked out by a video game because it's not like me, you know.
Yeah.
But I think that was probably
especially back
one of my
then, like you were
favorites.
saying, like video games weren't that great looking. Like
I know.
you know, Final Fantasy VII was like Lego characters. Like Resident Evil 1 was like
but that's
pretty
another
awful
one. Yeah.
animation, but your mind makes it better. You know, you just you imagine it better. Like
That
you were
dialogue
saying.
wasn't that bad. Oh.
Yeah, it was.
You see those boards on the windows in that hallway, and I think me and Mitch specifically, we remember that hallway. Like you're like, man, fuck these board
Something.
windows. Like, they're just scary.
Yeah, no, it's a good one. I don't know. I think that's probably a specific moment.
That's a good-
that,
yeah.
that pulled something
Fear.
out of me.
It's a good emotion. Yeah.
How about you, man? You
I would
wanker.
say probably the best moments in any video games, which is funny because I'm more of a Dragon Age fan, but Mass Effect definitely has it. Like in Mass Effect 3, my favorite character in the series comes into the second game. It's Thane, and he's like just total badass assassin who's like, he's gonna die at some point, you know it, because he's like, I'm terminally ill, I've got this thing, it's just like a matter of time. So you're kind of like, okay, like he's gonna die, and he makes it through the second one if you don't screw up, and then in the third one, like the illness is hitting him, and he's just a shadow of his former self, and he fights this assassin who looks like a badass, right? And he kind of like hangs in there with him, and eventually like the assassin gets away and everything, and kind of gets a couple like hits on Thane, and Thane's gonna die anyways. And you go into like the hospital with him, and he says this prayer, and his son's there, and he like you ask his son like what was he praying for, or what did he say? What were his final words? And he's like, he wasn't praying for himself, he was praying for you. And it's like this dude spends his last moments like being alive, you know. And they
Yeah.
BioWare does this amazing thing. Like I've never hated one of their characters because they're written poorly. I've only hated their characters because they're bland people or like they're cunts. Like one of the two. Like, but you never hate them because it's like they pull you out of it. They're like done so well. Like. But like I just loved Thane, and Thane was just like incredible. So when he died, man, I'm like getting choked up, and my friend's like right next to me, and I'm just like, this sucks. Like,
Yeah.
like
And it
Thane's
wasn't
gone.
like a warrior's death. It was just another way of life. Just, you know, there was nothing he could have done about it.
Yeah.
And that's such a great
Yeah.
sort of ending, you know,
Yeah.
to that character.
You feel like kind of helpless. Like
Don't worry, dude. I've shed the same tears you have.
it's funny
You
because
guys get closer.
Yeah.
in the same game, like I hated this character Morden. He created this thing called the Genophage, and it's like wiping out this race of aliens that, you know, before that they were conquering the galaxy, like they were destroying everything, and then he stops them from being able to reproduce. So now they've got limited numbers and they're dying out. And his like final act in like this mission is he'll like go up and he'll release this thing that's going to cure the Genophage. And like I hated the guy before that. And then in his final act he like fixes all that, and it's like, you son of a bitch. Like and I'm like, I got choked up for him too, and I hated him. Like
I didn't hate him. I thought he was cool.
I know you did. But-
So it's even worse for me to see him die.
Yeah,
you know?
but it's crazy, like, because BioWare does that in most of their games. Like, they can achieve that. Like, you feel connected to the characters, whether it's like love or hate. You know, it's not a lot of in between. Some people are bland, and so you don't like fully hate them, but you feel like you know them, and you feel like you know how they would react to certain situations.
But here's the thing as well, like, you don't have to do any of that. You don't have to talk to any of these characters. You don't have to do their own personal side missions, their own, you know, like their own like accomplishments in their life or whatever. You don't have to find out about any of that. But if you take the time to talk to the characters and do their side missions and stuff, and you get to see them grow and change along with your own character, and find out more about their race or their, you know, their background.
Yeah.
And it just makes it all that more powerful because you put in the time and the hard work to find out about these people.
Yeah.
And it's just, oh, man, yeah.
It's weird how they stop being video game characters at some point, and they really just feel like
They're your TV friends.
yeah, like
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 this Poltergeist?
Yeah.
No, this is like Cable Guy.
Yeah.
I think BioWare makes the best games. Like sometimes they have some weird stuff with their animation team. Like they don't do like natural human movements, but
That's your nice way of saying it's shit.
yeah, like some of their stuff is shit. Sometimes they look great,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but but man, their writing team and then like the voice acting that they get and the music that they have everything go with, like, it's funny because I don't really like sci-fi and I love Dragon Age, but damn, Mass Effect is like it's probably the greatest storytelling in video games in my opinion, hands down. I don't think anything comes close.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I don't want to hit some of mine now because mine's awful, and it's like purposely awful.
Go for it.
Okay, so like, as a kid, like I have 4 older brothers, so playing games was like a social event. Anyways, we were all like in the house playing games, and all of us pretty much like to play games. So we probably the first like horror game I ever played was Night Trap. Anyone remember Night Trap? Night Trap was not scary. It was like Power Ranger scary. Like the bad guys like creep. We're gonna get them, you know.
Rita scares me.
Yeah,
she's a nasty bitch.
Yeah, but it's like the scariest part is the guy who like narrates the thing. He's like, you killed them all, and he like takes the controller. He's like, you're out of this. You know,
is it Joe Pesci?
I don't know who plays the guy. Like, you know, he has like a game controller. He's like, you control the cameras with this. If anyone hasn't played Night Trap is like filmed footage of like a house where these people are getting attacked by, I don't know what they are, like
things,
random guys in black outfits, and then it's also sort of like a vampire thing. But you're like with the FBI, and you're like watching through these cameras, and you have traps that you press to catch the guys. But it gets really intense because it's a really stupid premise. Like you're at girls' like sleepover party, which is even dumber.
It sounds like a rape simulator.
You've
or
never,
something,
you
right?
never.
Well, I've never seen that.
Oh man, you've got to play Night Trap.
There's a scene in it. Again, this is taken way out of context. But there's a scene in it that the media got a hold of at the time. Mm-hmm. Like, again, out of context, but it there's a scene where a girl gets grabbed in a bedroom, wrestled with, and then pulled out of the room by these guys.
Yeah.
And the news, because, again, it didn't help that Mortal Kombat was coming out and all the rest of it, and video games are violent, and it's making kids, you know...
Soon they'll be
BS,
dancing.
Yeah. Well, they toted it as a rape simulator. And,
Really?
And you actually play as the baddies, capturing women and
I'm glad my parents watched the news and bought me the rape simulator.
But the thing is, it wasn't that at all. It was you're playing as the good guys, trapping the bad guys.
Yeah.
And there was no implied rape. It was just someone being dragged off the camera.
Yeah, like, the action is so cheesy and awful. Like to say that that's like anything more than literally a Power Rangers episode is.
I think ridiculous. You hit the nail on the head with the Power Rangers.
The fucked up thing is, I said that to be extreme and be ridiculous in the rape simulator thing.
Yeah,
but that's what the media's like. Oh, they must be raping people in this game.
But it was the same thing with
what?
Fox News and Mass Effect as well. They took the sex scene from Mass Effect and they were like, it's a sex simulator, and it's like, no, it's one 30-second scene that fades to black. It's just kissing,
and you might not get it.
Yeah,
like,
and the guy on from BioWare was like defending it, being like, no, this isn't. This is one scene taken out of context. It's not this at all. And they just kept cutting them off, and then eventually they just said, "Okay, well, that's all we have time for," and then just like cut to another camera.
Well,
and it's
like the media is such.
Yeah, I know.
Like go, whatever, you know. Like the rest of everyone, like Team America, when that came out, everyone's like, "Oh, there's like the puppet sex scene." It's like, really, you took that seriously? Like the puppet sex scene?
I've seen naked Barbies and not been upset.
They were making like a big deal about the puppet sex scene. I'm like, really?
That was hilarious.
I would have loved to have gone farther, like been even.
Have you seen the director's cut?
It was so funny.
Have you seen the director's cut? Oh man, he shits on her chest, or maybe she shits on his chest. I can't remember. And then there's pee.
Yeah,
like it goes farther.
I thought it was.
Watch the director's cut.
I thought it was great. You know, there's the kind of things where it's like whatever, you know. But back to Night Trap. I mean, it was fun. It got you know, emotion. Like it got scary at times. If you're playing that in the dark, you know, and you're like trying to get all the things, it's kind of a tough game actually to like get through because you have to remember like where everyone is at certain times and like
it's
you have to catch
FMV,
people.
isn't it? Like it's a movie.
Yeah, it's like live action
really
movie. Yeah, and you choose the part of the house to like view, and you have to be viewing there to like trap the person. but so you have to like memorize where everyone's going in the house. So it's kind of a cool game dynamic. I think it's not been utilized very well, and
So it's like when Macaulay Culkin became an FBI agent. He's like, I'm just going to trap him. I'm not going in there.
Yeah.
He's like, this house is set.
All I have to do is watch from the cameras. But yeah, so I mean, I thought it was a fun game. It was scary at times, but mostly it was just like, it was memorable, I guess, and had those kind of emotions. But
Cool.
what do you think?
I've got one that's like really spoiler heavy. So if you haven't played it, or if you really want to play the Walking Dead video game, do not listen to the next 5 minutes.
Do you think I should leave? Because I may play it after.
You
Because
may play
Game
it.
of Thrones is good enough that it's like
Game of Thrones?
I've got another one.
Telltale Games has like a Game of Thrones one. Do you like Game of Thrones?
Yeah, I love Game of
Holy
Thrones.
shit, dude!
Only the sex scenes, though.
Yeah, so Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
It's like every once in a while they kill people while they're getting banged. But
Yeah.
No, like the Game of Thrones one, man. Like it is. Sorry to cut you off.
No, dude.
It's like super heavy. So Cersei will be like talking to you.
Yeah.
And you got like they give you a timer. You got to make a decision. Like boom. Like, and
Really?
you can make the wrong decision, and it'll be like Cersei won't forget that. Like. Son of a bitch.
Right.
But Tyrion's standing right there, and he might try and help you.
Yeah.
And you're gonna burn one of them. You just gotta pick your allies, like. And then
Always choose Tyrion.
yeah, just Tyrion. Like everybody loves Tyrion. You don't want to screw Tyrion over, but Cersei's the one swinging the hammer in that family for the
Yeah.
most part. You know, so it's like, and there's like some stuff. I won't give anything away, but like at the end of like the first episode, I think it might be free right now. Some shit goes down, and you're like.
Episode 1 of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, of the game because it's
Telltale-
released in episodes.
Yeah, they do
Oh.
episodic games. They've done a Back to the Future one. They do
Sam and Max.
Sam and
I'm
Max,
glad
yeah.
somebody picked up that. I love
Yeah.
those.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's incredible. So, just off of how good Game of Thrones has been,
Yeah.
I'm like, I kind of want to go and try that Walking Dead because I've heard nothing but great things about it.
Walking Dead, similar game dynamic. Like it's.
Oh, it's like you say,
Set up.
the stuff that the characters won't remember, or they will remember that. It's exactly the same.
Oh, really?
If you don't want to hear it, you should leave, dude, because it's pretty.
Cover your
Should I
ears.
leave?
This is going to be a common occurrence where Steve leaves the room.
Get out.
I love
Just get
stories
out.
so much. Like, I just don't want stuff to be ruined. Like,
Sure.
like spoiler for Game of Thrones season 5. Like, I
I think
read
we
a
already did.
rumor that Jon Snow might die. I think I maybe
You,
talked about
you
this
said that
yesterday.
last time you were leaving, and
Yeah.
everyone else was like on their podcast, probably like, "What? No."
Yeah, but
I haven't watched
yeah,
it on Blu-ray yet.
I heard the rumor, so like the entire final episode of Game of Thrones season 5, I'm like, don't fucking happen, man, don't happen. And then it cuts back up north, and I was like, he's fucking dead, he's dead. And then it happens, and I'm just like, that scene was so much longer because it happened.
Yeah.
Like, now I'm not gonna play it. I'll just listen.
All right,
I'll let
all
you
right.
ruin it for me. Let's go.
So you play
You
as
already
Lee.
ruined Game of Thrones for everyone, so.
You play as
Fuck.
you play as Lee, and you're just a regular guy. I won't go too much into the story because I'll be here for hours. But you come into contact with this little girl. She's about 10 or 12, I guess. Her name's Clementine, and you spend 5 whole episodes, hours and hours of gameplay, just looking after her, making sure she's okay. You sort of teach her how to shoot. You teach her like all kinds of cool stuff. Like you sort of keep her from danger from the zombies and stuff.
Yeah.
And eventually, he gets to the point where you have to get her to a certain point, like a train station. And you know this is gonna be great because like on the other side is like salvation and a camp and everything.
Sure.
And the last episode, you're hacking your way through zombies, and you've got a meat cleaver, and you're just going at it. A whole horde of zombies, you're just going straight through.
You fucking them?
No. You hacking,
You have a meat cleaver and you're going at it.
Going at it.
And then you kill one.
Yeah. So you go through all the way to this.
I'm hoping people are laughing.
Dude, stop
sometimes.
ruining my atmosphere, man.
Dude, he screwed it.
Yeah.
He screwed the
Oh,
That's
God,
it. It's
Scott.
I'm sorry.
moving on.
No. Finish up. Scott, keep
All
your
right.
sex in your pants.
I feel
Yeah.
like I feel like I should jump out because now it's not gonna have the weight.
No, you'll have to wait.
All right, so you're cutting your way through zombies, and it's getting really. Oh, whatever. Next story.
It was Steve laughing. That was not my fault.
And that's where it ends.
No, they're chopping through zombies. You're carrying your little girl around with you.
Scott, you screwed this so
Yeah,
bad.
there's no way. He's like establishing this mood, like you've cared for this girl, and then like all of a sudden you're having sex with zombies while like you accidentally cut one like with your meat cleaver. Like,
Oh my god. Can you hold it in for a second?
Yes.
Mitch, continue.
Okay, so you're fighting your way through this crowd, and eventually you just can't make it any further. You're exhausted. You have to. So you go into like I think it's a police station,
Mm-hmm.
and in the police station, you've been bit, and it gives you the choice to cut off your arm or just fight the infection just as is. And I was a nutcase. I was like, get rid of that arm straight away. So I cut off my own arm, like an idiot.
Yeah.
So I've been losing a lot of blood for the whole episode, you know.
Oh.
And in the police station, like you say, like every time you make a decision, it's so and so will remember that. I will remember this. You know, it just comes up in the corner, like as a hint, like this character will remember this point in time, and you know you're going to become a zombie, and so you handcuff yourself to like a radiator, and Clem is crying, and she's she doesn't know what to do and all the rest of it, and so you make decisions like normal dialogue decisions like Mass Effect and everything, but it gives you a little time limit to make those decisions, and it's stuff like, okay, this is what you do what do you need to find first of all, and it says food, water, shelter, blah blah blah, and you just tell her what to do, and it's like, okay, just make sure like you make sure you find a weapon first, or make sure you find food first, or look for people, and it says Clem will remember that. Clem will remember all the time. She's bawling her eyes out. I'm welling up. I'm like, oh God, and the last thing you do is just tell her to either kill you or just leave. And I was like, just go, just leave me. And that was it. That was the last time I ever saw.
Tell her to kill you?
Yeah. And and I just told her to go. I was like, just go. And that's it.
And you don't get to see what happens?
It does cut back and you are zombified.
Yeah.
As if to say, like, that's it, you're done.
Yeah.
But this whole time you've looked after her, you've helped her through this situation, you've grown as characters, you've had like memories and all the rest of it, and it's just this heart-wrenching moment of sending this little girl out into this zombie-infested world with the advice you've given her. And I haven't played Series 2, but you play as Clem for Series 2, and I imagine some of that transfers over because the whole thing is like events you choose to transfer over.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't, that's still great storytelling. Just having that hint pop up, it's a gameplay element, but it's now used as a story device, saying like, whatever you tell her now is just your advice, and away she goes into the world. Yeah. And it's just like, oh boy, my feels like.
Well, let me ask you a question. Like, okay, so she had the choice. You had the choice to tell her to kill you or for her to leave.
I think so. Again, it's been a while.
What if the choice wasn't to kill you, but what to kill her?
What? Why would you
like a Myst type ending, like where you'd rather because what? Okay, sorry, but hopefully don't
Well, why would she need to
why
die?
would you kill
Well,
her?
like I mean, like
I'm gonna be a zombie. You're done.
This would change the situation because I feel like it would have to be more in peril. Like the zombies have to be outside the door and like coming in, and there's no hope for her to really leave. And it's just like, do you choose to give her some hope, or do you choose to like just take her out and as pleasantly as possible?
But even in that situation, I would still I mean, let her go. I wouldn't just shoot someone if I'm just about to die.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always a chance that the zombies are just going to walk off. There would never be like a I'm going to kill you because I'm going to be a zombie scenario.
15-minute break, guys. Let's leave.
No, I mean, because you got to think zombies are stupid. They're going to get bored and you're just going to move off. It's just what they do. They're going to hear something and be like, oh shit, it's just a deer, but they don't know.
I don't know. It depends on what zombie you're talking about. Like if you're talking about like
we're talking
regular
Dead zombies, man.
Walking Dead zombie, well like. Or
it's a Walking Dead game. That's the zombies we're talking about.
Well, I was gonna say like 20 days later, zombies they don't stop.
Yeah, but this game's not 20 days later.
Yeah, so
true.
That's why I was saying what zombie you're talking about.
It was a real heartbreaking moment because I'd spent all this time like being a father to this girl pretty much. There's a choice they give you later on where you can choose to cut her hair so that she doesn't get grabbed as often by zombies. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of cool decision.
Yeah.
Like, you can have long hair or short hair,
Yeah.
And
what dick doesn't cut her hair?
yeah, I know, right?
Like, do you want to make the decision to have her less like grabbed by zombies? I like her to have long hair. Keep that.
She looks better.
Now, I've only
cut my
played it
hair.
the once. I don't know how different the story would be if I made different decisions. I'm actually going through it again now.
Yeah.
That was a great kind of moment where they used gameplay to enhance the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just imagine, dude, you wouldn't have been turned into a zombie had you used a rubber when banging that zombie. You would have been
With the meat cleaver.
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to ruin
No,
your
it's
story.
fine. I just can't wait for it to go around again. I can't wait for yours, so.
Oh, you're
Mr.
looking at
Timothy?
me. Am I supposed to have
Yeah,
another one?
well, if you have.
Yeah, if you don't.
I've got 3 more already.
Yeah,
to
I've got a
go,
bunch.
so-
Oh, I know.
It's like we're going to run out of episode time
Yeah.
before.
Round tabling
Totally.
this or?
Yeah, it's already 6.
Wow.
That's cool. I mean, we got another 15 minutes or so.
Yeah.
But, God, you know what? I actually just played. I just played Zelda: The Minish Cap. Did anybody play that?
A little bit of it.
A little
Didn't
bit of
finish it.
So, Steve, since you've never finished a Zelda game,
You've never finished a Zelda game?
That's exactly what they said.
yeah, I know it's odd. I just wanted to call him out, so
Especially,
everybody else
like-
can know that.
Like how into fantasy and stuff I am.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. I'm gonna
Steve,
fix
you've
it.
never kissed a girl?
Especially how into fantasy he is.
Yeah, right?
I've never kissed a girl and liked it.
Oh.
Is what you meant to say.
Yeah.
Weird.
Even his mother, he's just like, it's like kissing my brother. Get away.
No, but I went back and I played it on the Wii U because you can download it from the Nintendo eStore, and man, that was an awesome game. I think it was super unappreciated because it did okay, but it wasn't touted like a lot of these other Zelda games. But it was really decent. They had a lot of really cool hidden things in the game, and you could beat the game without finding all of your skills, all of your accomplishing everything, which was kind of cool to me that it's a open world as Zeldas are, but it didn't force you to go through and you get all of your abilities.
Yeah.
Other games will force you to go through and you get your swing attacks or you get your spin or you get whatever as part of your progression, but this didn't force you to do that, which if you didn't, made the end guy suck super bad, and that to me was super cool. Just being able to sit there and get enveloped in a Game Boy game on a 70-inch TV. I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And that's when I just finished about a month ago. But it's been cool because for the longest time, I was a handheld geek.
Yeah.
I mean, I have everything from, even the custom handhelds that started coming out before you can now 3D print cases and all this stuff. But I just had I had the Gamecom Active, which you could plug in to your phone cable and play Doom with somebody on this grayscale 200 screen.
What was
It
the
amazing.
Sega? Wasn't there a Sega handheld?
The
that
Nomad?
you-
Game Gear?
It was
There's
Nomad.
a Game Gear, but the
Nomad.
Nomad actually
Yeah, you
played
you
the
plug
full games.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you stick regular Genesis games.
I remember
in
the
it.
Game
I had
Gear.
Game Gear.
The
Yeah.
Game Gear took 12 AA's. And
Oh, it was the worst.
2
And then
hours battery life or something.
It had a
ridiculous.
pack that you could plug into it that didn't do any better. It was a battery pack that you just plugged into your batteries, and it still took that many batteries to do. But the Nomad had a cartridge that had an antenna. You could watch TV on this thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
It was amazing.
Sega, I have to say, Sega was even though I love Nintendo, I think I'm totally always been a Nintendo guy. But looking at Game Gear, I had Game Gear when it came out. I was like, Game Gear's got it going. They've got full color graphics. It's it's close to the Genesis. Then they had the Nomad, which was totally Genesis all over, and they're no one would buy it. It was a little more expensive than the
Super expensive.
Game Boy stuff. But it's come on, really? And then they petered out pretty much. They the whole disaster happened with everything else that they did, and then now Nintendo comes out and they're like, oh yeah, we have a Game Boy Advance. It's going to be just like a Game Gear, except for it doesn't take 50
But-
batteries and it doesn't melt.
Exactly. I mean, it's half the size. The
Yeah.
screen is bigger. It takes 2 batteries or 4 batteries.
But how many years after was that? That was
It was-
10 years.
Yeah, it was several
What
years
was the
after.
Sega that had the massive discs?
Yeah,
like
Sega CD.
Sega CD. That thing was ridiculous.
Sega Laserdisc.
Like
The laser disc player.
but like you look at like the NES, and they had that kind of blocky square controller.
Mhm.
But then the Genesis came like pretty close after that, right? Or
Yeah.
near the SNES or
Well,
whatever. And it had that kind of curved, smooth design, and it almost looked like a modern day controller without the
Yeah.
analog sticks, And they had like blast processing on the Sonic games and
No,
stuff.
but see, you're totally skipping over the Master System, which was a square controller.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
so the Sega Master System was a square controller, and then when the I think it was the Genesis after that. Now someone's going to call me out and be like, "You
Yeah.
love video games."
Yeah, I know.
I probably would have got
to.
Walking Dead wrong.
I'm sure
Lee
everyone...
doesn't die. I just made it all up.
But no, yeah, their
No
first-
one else got that ending.
Yeah.
No, their first one had a square controller. It was super similar to
Yeah,
the
that's
NES
true.
controller. And then the Master System had a rounded, and then of course you get into all their other ones, the Sega Saturn, and aside from all their attachments.
Well,
the
speaking
WSPs
of
and everything, but-
systems, I wanted to bring up some new systems.
Oh, are we moving on?
We want-
Not yet,
you want-
not yet.
Okay, so-
Sega.
Yeah.
I always like Sega much better than
Oh, you
Nintendo.
did?
And
Oh, you
like Sega just had really bad timing with stuff. Like the Dreamcast, fucking awesome console.
That's amazing.
Too late. Like
Yeah.
like right after that, PlayStation 2 came out, and it was like, dude.
Well,
you
okay,
can't
so
contend. Like,
there were a few
Yeah.
things that really killed the Dreamcast. One, the PlayStation 2 is also a DVD player, right?
Yep.
They missed out on that. Two, the Dreamcast did not have any sort of protection. You could literally download a game,
Yeah.
burn it to a disc, and it didn't have to be a specialty disc or anything, and it would just work.
That was the worst. That
That-
was the thing.
Yeah.
It was the
That
worst
thing
for
killed
them,
Yeah,
right?
It was
But-
great for everyone else.
But it had graphics that I felt were superior to be able to use. I can't remember the name of the cartridge that you could put into your Dreamcast controllers.
yeah,
Oh,
that
the memory
little-
units.
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing was
MUs or
awesome. It had
whatever.
a screen on it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you could
yeah.
take yours over to your friend's house and it had memory of the games that you were playing. You could plug it into their system. Like it
Yep.
was just leaps and bounds beyond.
Had
what
a
was supposed to
modem
be.
and stuff. I know other consoles have
Yeah.
had it, but it had a
Well,
real
what
sort
was
of-
the game that came
Phantasy
out?
Star Online.
Phantasy Star Online.
Yeah, yeah.
And that
Yeah.
still was being played up until like 2012.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
still games that were made for the Dreamcast, even the last couple years, that have
Yeah,
come
yeah.
out brand new.
Yeah.
It's amazing to me.
Yeah, it sucks though that it fell by the wayside like that. Because just imagine like what the market would look like if we had one more big console titan. Because I don't feel like Nintendo definitely has its crowd, and
Yeah.
you guys definitely seem like that crowd, but it's not
You
swinging
guys.
it the same way. Well, you don't
I
really
feel like
play
we're
games,
like
but you're-
drawing the line here. Like can't
Only
be
we
friends
can use that
anymore.
word.
But it's like
You nerf
they're
herder.
not really trying to contend in terms of like the console race, And I think like the more competition, the better stuff gets. Like, Sony only has to do so well because they're only competing with Xbox. But if you throw Sega into that mix, and they're pushing what is coming in games, then
Oh, totally.
it just changes the market entirely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I think that's partially what Scott wants to bring up.
Did you guys want to move on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do a hot
So,
topic of the day.
The next thing, I guess, this is new news.
Wanker number 2.
Is the Nintendo NX.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it today. I was like, because my buddy was telling me, he's like, oh yeah, an NX. They said they're going to be coming out with that next year. Hopefully, they'll be releasing it. They're saying, and they're pushing dev kits out now. And so I was thinking, I'm like, man, wouldn't it be great if Nintendo pushed like a system that was like top of the line, like really hitting, Sony and Xbox hard
Marketing
on
to people
graphic-wise.
like me.
Yeah, and like
You.
not only that, not only pushing like graphics, but also like grabbing those third-party game companies again and pulling it from say Sony, because Sony that's how they made it. Like, yeah, the whole deal with Nintendo and Sony that all happened, but really the reason why Sony's like made it big is because third-party developers made games for PlayStation originally, and they just went crazy. There's so many games for PlayStation. So I was telling that to my friend, and my friend's like, yeah, dude, they just talked about that. The new dev kits came out, and the people are saying that the dev kits have like super high like restrictions that you have to like have for your computer to run them. Like they have to have top of the line, like I don't know, the paper says like top of the line leading chips, like
Wow.
for your computer systems to like run the dev kits. And everyone's like, can we run this with like lower end quality stuff? And they're saying no, there's
Really?
not a way. So like they're pushing like something, at least from what the rumors are saying, something big and like beefy.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen the stuff from the Zelda that they've kind of like been talking about?
Yeah, the new
It
one.
looks like Skyrim.
Well, they're
Zelda.
holding that back, and I think that's also because NX is coming out next year. I
Yeah,
think
did you
they're
notice
doing
how
an
it
NX
wasn't
release.
at E3
Yeah.
this year?
Yeah.
That gives you an indication of
Of what's to come.
Yeah.
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 So, I mean, what do you guys what are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on the NX?
I think that honestly would be amazing, and I think that Nintendo would be smart to come around and hit these other companies, especially right now when they're not looking. Both of them just came out with their latest console. They're not planning on something new for
They're
years.
kind of relaxing, and they just want to get games
Absolutely.
out. You know?
Yeah.
And they're now becoming media systems and not necessarily game
Well,
systems.
and
especially,
if we
you know?
rewind the podcast, the last thing you said was like, oh yeah, the two big people, Sony's only competing against Xbox.
Yeah.
That's how everyone feels.
Yeah.
And I hate to say that because, like, I feel that way too. Like, Nintendo's kind of fallen by the wayside. Even though I love their system, love their games, they're kind of...
They've got their crowd,
Like-
but it's not that mainstream thing. It's like you have to be a part of that, like that Nintendo crowd. I would prefer, like, I would love to play some Nintendo games because they kind of play with some of the more lighthearted stuff, but they've got to have the other end of the spectrum too.
Sure.
Like, I don't want to just play lighthearted, but I also don't want to just play like the gritty God of War style game. Like,
Yeah.
I want a good combination of both.
Well, so let me ask you... did you have some...
Yeah, I just about the console. Like,
Oh.
I was going to say, Nintendo just peddle nostalgia. That's what they specialize in. That's what they do the best. They have modern games that do old games really well. I think the Wii U came out 2 years too late. I think if they had held back on the Wii and pushed the Wii U before tablets and mobile phone games really kicked off like they have in the past few years, I think it would have made a killing. on
I
the
actually
Wii.
disagree. I think they had to have the Wii because the Wii, the way the remote works, it works differently than the Wii U.
Yeah,
like,
I certainly.
functionality-wise.
But if you look at sales of Wii U in comparison to Wii's, like it's chalk and cheese. There's a complete difference between the two because, like the Wii, like grandmas were playing it and everything, all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Motion gaming is going to be the future. All that BS.
You
But
may need to explain chalk and cheese to the listeners because
Yeah.
I don't know what the
two
hell you
different
just
things.
said.
Two different tastes. Two different tastes. Black and white.
What does chalk taste like?
Preferably,
I've
I
never
like
eaten
chalk.
You should try it. and tell me.
It's all these Italian references.
Yeah,
from
yeah.
China.
Would you like some chalk on that noodles? Yes.
And I think like I think it came out too late because of that controller is a tablet basically. It's a touchscreen, it's a tablet. I think if that was released just before iPads and mobile phones was really starting to kick off in terms of
I think if
gaming,
they made it something less cartoony and made it more of a functional thing that people could like take with them, that would be the next. That would be where they.
It would have taken developers though, also like fully embracing it. From what I've seen, like Vigil, the old Darksiders crew, they made that so you could still like you could have your menu up or your map while you're running around in a dungeon, and that's just always like you could always just mess around with that. And I think that would be really smart, especially in terms of RPGs. Like I hate stopping to like sift through everything and then like wonder if anything's coming, you know.
Sure.
And sometimes the world just straight pauses, but I mean that's a really cool feature, and it almost goes back into what we were talking about with the Dreamcast, having that little thing. Because couldn't you cycle through certain menus and stuff
Yeah,
on that little?
you could pull up items on it. You could see maps on it. You could do all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And there are some developers that have taken advantage of that, but not nearly as many as they should have. When the Wii U first came out, Zombie U was on it.
Yeah.
That game was super gory and was not kid friendly, and they had some cool
They
stuff.
tried to.
They
Yeah.
tried to
Cool
utilize
that.
it, and they had some fun stuff that you could do on the controller while you're doing something different on top. I think there was one where it was like you could pick locks on the controller, but you're still playing live, so zombies are still coming
Yeah.
around
That's
up
cool.
there, and it was really cool.
It's
You notice
the
they
game
have
that-
like one or two like that on every system. Like they
Yeah.
had Resident Evil 4 came out on GameCube. They had like, Shadow Man on N64. Every
They
system
had
has
Metal Gear
like.
Solid 2 Snakes on
Yeah.
GameCube as well.
Yeah.
We had a awesome game. What was that one where you chainsaw people all over the place? Mad World. Was that what it was
Oh,
called?
yeah.
Mad World was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
But,
see,
like-
that's the thing is like it's so like rare that they do that. So it's
weird
like you're
that
not going to pull in gamers like me, like the mainstream, with 3 games. Like very rarely do people
And especially
buy.
since those games aren't being ported to other systems either.
And like I had no idea about Mad World. Like I knew about Resident Evil, and I had a GameCube, but I got it for Twin Snakes, and that's only because growing up as a Metal Gear Solid fan. Like I don't know, like they need to market better.
Yeah.
and they need to diversify. It's
Well,
cool
here's-
to peddle nostalgia.
Yeah, here's the thing as well. Like, they did sign that deal with this mobile phone company, and that's how Nintendo are starting to do like Pokemon Go on the phones and stuff. But can you imagine if you could download, like you were saying, Pokemon Fire Red on your phone?
Yeah.
Like, how often would you play that? All the time.
Yeah.
You know, like, or like
I'd be on
Mario
it right
Brothers.
now.
just
Oh,
jumping, just doing a couple of levels in Mario, like
Yeah.
on your phone. And I think, like, really, this new console, instead of focusing on like cutting edge graphics and really like top of the line, because their games are pretty solid.
Yeah.
If you put in a Nintendo game, you're rarely going to find bugs and glitches in comparison to, like, you know, most stuff on the Xbox, most stuff on PlayStation. Like, I stick in Fallout New Vegas, and it is lagging and crashing, and there's all kinds of bugs, and it but you stick in, like, you know, just a fairly recent, like, Nintendo game, I don't know, like Yoshi or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
I don't often find the game crashes. I don't often find any kind of glitches or bugs or anything like that. There's no drop in frame rate. And I think this to sort of end my point, like, me personally, there's been so many consoles that are just slightly backwards compatible, but not all the way backwards compatible.
Yeah.
What would be great, because Nintendo kind of market towards fans that do love collecting, and they have a NES, or they have cartridges and stuff from their old childhood, because it's all nostalgia based, an everything console where it has a disc drive.
You can, like, literally
but
plug
it has
in
like
NES
cartridges
games into it.
Yeah, so you
That'd
can
be cool.
have, like, because one of my favorite bits about the Wii U is the eShop. Going back and playing all the old games, like all the old platformers, like Super Metroid and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But if I've got a copy of it, like on Game Boy, wouldn't it be great to just
I don't
plug
think you have
that
to go
in?
as far
That'd be
as
cool.
like putting hardware that actually plugs the game into the system. I think you have a USB cord that hooks to a Nintendo official like adapter that hooks to the game. So you download the game onto the system, and then it's in your virtual drive.
Nintendo actually did that, and they discontinued it. I don't remember how long ago, but it was a downloadable game system
awesome.
that they had. That
Yeah.
you could go. What you do is you take it to a store and download a game on it, and then take it home. And it was just a box that you could download whatever.
But I like
That's
just
cool.
just instead of competing with the titans of the industry, Microsoft and Sony, because they do, you know, and I know, like, you've seen those videos where they stick Mario in like the Unreal Engine and it looks awesome and all the rest of it. But like, Nintendo isn't about that. They're about cartoony, and it's all about gameplay for them, you know. And again, nostalgia. Like, if they
I wanted to punch it to the guys though. I wanted to give like Sony some real.
I think they would if
battle,
because the fan base is huge, and the fan base is like, they don't mind spending a lot of money. I mean, look at Nintendo's business model.
Nintendo is a lot like Apple. Let's be straight. Like Nintendo's
No,
the
they are.
Apple.
It's powerful,
of
though.
the-
Yeah.
But everybody's avid.
You
Well,
can buy a
yeah.
copy of Smash Brothers, and it's still $60. And it's like, why hasn't this game gone down in price? You look at like most modern
Even collectors.
releases, and they go down to $20 after a few weeks.
That's
and
the
yet-
thing, is they don't have the library to make it so you have to drop it down, you know, because
Yeah.
they don't have as many people like putting out the games, you know, and that's my problem. Is I don't care if they go like super high end graphics. Like, it should be comparable, but I want the library. You know, I get it. Your market is nostalgia. That's fine, but you need to have a market beyond that in order to pull people who didn't grow up on Nintendo. I grew up on Sega. So, like, Nintendo games are, that's all right.
Yeah.
But I like Mortal Kombat over Street Fighter. Like, and it's just from having a Sega, you know. It's like they should try and bring in new people as opposed to just, like,
Oh, no, I fully
maintaining
agree.
the
And
audience.
I was on the Wii shop a while back, not the Wii U, the actual original Wii, and they've got a ton of Sega games because they now have Sonic in their like roster for Smash Brothers and stuff. So like, if they have, say, because I was playing Sonic and all the rest of it, but like if they did a combination of that, again, just using the cartridge loader in the front or like a cable just to download it onto the hard drive.
Well, let me ask you one other question real quick, and we'll get a fast roundtable about this. Is what if so the rumor farm on the NX is saying, Nintendo's doing this high-end stuff, and they want to see the controller adapt to, like, what is the controller going to become? Is it going to stay Wii U? And it sounds like rumors are saying they're thinking Wii U, but they're thinking switching it with like the 3DS type of screen type of thing, like where they're going to do like a 3D Wii U type of system. Now, I'm honestly like, I'm not for that. Like, if you're going to push like graphics, push like third-party games and everyone to come into this system area, you're going to have to give them something. It's good to have a controller that has something special that adds to the game, but you can't expect that every game is going to add this level of detail and that people are going to want that. Because for the most part, someone wants to just hold a controller and play the game on the screen. They don't want to have to look down at the map and bounce back up.
Like we're debating something that could happen. Like we haven't seen the controller. Like so like why get into like, well, I don't think people want this. We don't know what this is. You know, it's like I've got something behind my back. Do you want it?
Yeah,
you don't know. who knows?
Yeah, I don't want it. But
we just know you well enough.
That's a mistake. You probably do want it.
Yeah. I think Nintendo would do really well to come out with something very high processor intensive to allow third parties to come and jump in, but still keep their bar high enough that they're putting out games that don't have the glitches, that don't have all the issues that these are. If they can keep their standards where they are and push a system that can do a graphic quality level, either beating the Xbox or the PlayStation right now, I think that they would blow these guys out of the water, because now they're opening the floodgates for other people to develop for them again and telling these people that we're not going to put out your Fallout because it has bugs. We're not going to do that.
Yeah, and don't go the way of the Wii, where we want to give you a cooking game and this other stupid shitty party game that's just like yours, but it's not. It's like, no, we don't want that shit because no one wants to play that.
Bring back the seal of.
But think about how cool like they could run with their style, because they've got a very unique style, and a lot of it's clean. So you don't have to have like these crazy fucking textures eating up any of the processing power. Like it could literally be just like really nice models displayed really well with 60 frames per second. And they don't really have to do stuff. They just have to be competitive with the current market, you know, and just not have the processor focused on textures and all the other bullshit.
You know, the games still sell, even though they're like Mario Kart's still $60. Like they still sell.
Yeah,
like, there are fans paying money for these things. You know, it's not like, you know. But
all right,
there we go.
Do you want to pop in?
No, I just wanted to say one last thing about Mitch's saying I want a console that does everything. You need to check out the Retron 5. I have that, and it plays Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, Game Boy, Game Boy Advance. And
you know about this?
The
Retron?
No,
you can plug in your original game controllers into the console as well.
See, and that's exactly what I want.
You guys just need to play World of Warcraft because it's got all these games in the
World
of
Warcraft. I agree with Mitch.
It's funny.
So,
well, on that note, fellow wankers, it's been a fairly good sesh.
Until next time, you cheeky monkeys.
Yeah, you got it.
I am a cheeky monkey.
Is that how I do it? Thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.
Later.